Okay, so some of the core pieces of networking hardware that you need to be aware of. There's four main types really. If we start at the top of the network, which is this item here, it's the router, and it's responsible for transmitting data between networks. Now that might be networks across two sides of like a school. It might be a network across a much wider area as well. So it's responsible for connecting devices to the internet. It's responsible for communicating devices between networks. Now, down from a router, you will then have different switches and hubs, and switches and hubs may be found within a particular part of a network. So if we take like a computer lab, for instance, like a computer room in a school, that might have a single switch or a hub which then connects into the router, and there may be several of these types of switches and computer rooms located around like a building or site somewhere. Now, the difference between a switch and a hub, just so you kind of got this awareness now, because you might well be asked this in an exam type question, is a switch is a more intelligent hub. So whereas a hub will take the transmission of data, and if we take each of these three computers, for instance, if they're all communicating on a network, a hub will receive the data from the computers and then send the data back to all of the machines. It doesn't know who it needs it to communicate the data to, so it just sends them all. So let's say, for instance, this is computer A, and if I just draw this on here, if this is computer A and we have computer B and we have computer C, if computer A and C want to talk to each other, a hub will transmit the data. Not only will the data will go into the hub, and then the hub will transmit the data out to all devices on the network, like so. Issues with that is that obviously lots of data is then being sent around the network. Also, computer B doesn't need to receive that particular piece of data, so there could be a security risk potentially as well. And it's just not a very intelligent way of doing things, but it is a cheap way of doing things. Whereas a switch, on the other hand, is an intelligent version of a hub, and it knows where to send the data to. So for instance, if I have my example of A, B and C here again, and I want to transmit from A to C, it goes into the switch works out where it needs to go, and it conveniently sends it directly to C, bypassing the need for it to go through to B at all. So the difference between a switch and a hub essentially is a switch is a more intelligent version of a hub and will send data directly to a device. And then our final piece of hardware is a network interface card, or NIC, and any device on a network, whether it be your mobile phone or a computer, requires or needs to have a network interface card to be able to communicate with a network. So on a computer, you may find it has a plug where you actually connect directly in a Cat5 cable. If it's on a mobile phone, then it might be like a wireless chip that allows you to communicate as well.